I think when you dig into Dragonlance, there's a lot of really unfortunate things below the surface.
Oh, there is a deal of race essentialism in there for sure.
There's a lot of race essentialism. There's
as there is in a lot of old school fantasy.
The comedy races.
Yeah,
I've got them on my list of things to bring up. So a lot of people don't like Dragonlance, and one of the main reasons why is because of the comedy races. Really, the railroading adventures. It's got a pretty bad rap these days. Justifiably, deservedly, but yeah, there were. So to make the Dragonlance world, they decided they were going to throw out a lot of the sort of traditional trappings of Dungeons and Dragons, and that they would put in their own new things to make it be its own world. And a lot of these things were not well considered.
Yep.
And so the big ones, there's no orcs. Except for that one guy who was an orc. Continuity was not hot for early Dragonlance. There is no dark elves.
Good.
Or rather, they've got dark elves, but the term dark elf just refers to an elf who got exiled.
Right.
It's like, you're an outcast, so you're a dark elf.
Okay.
There's no race of black-skinned people who live underground and who all worship demons.
Oh, no.
Except for that one book where there is, but again, continuity, not something Dragonlance was great on. They had real problems with this stuff. And there's no halflings. Instead, they made their own alternative to halflings. And oh boy, are these guys hated. They are the Kender. And I actually think they're really cool in concept.
I think done right, you can have some cool Kender.
Yeah. So the idea with Kender is that they are like children. They are meant to be innocent like children, but also cruel, heartless little monsters like children, with the same sort of lack of personal boundaries or regard to personal property that children have. They're inquisitive,
This sounds like
curious,
hell.
fearless, and played by your typical D&D player, they are hell.
I mean,
They are absolute hell.
As the mother of a toddler, it already sounds like hell, and then you add in to the top of it that the person most likely to play this is probably like either a teenage boy or a Arrested Development 20-something-year-old man who just wants to annoy the people at the table.
I think if you, as a mother of a young child, was going to play a Kender, you could come up with something really cool. You could play up, like, the cuteness and the sweetness and the innocence, but also that, like, irritation and that wanting to strangle them at times.
I don't think I could subject other people at the table to an annoying character concept like that.
Sure.
Because I have a smidgen of social awareness.
Well, they're not meant to be annoying, but that's definitely how they come out.
Oh, trust me. No, you can't play a toddler and not be annoying, trust me. You can't do it truthfully. You can't do it the Stanislavski style and not be super
Well, they're
annoying.
meant to be older than toddlers, but, you know, primary school kids.
Sure. There's a reason why I went into high school education and not...
The real problem with them, though, is that the Kender who shows up in the novels, Tasselhoff, is a kleptomaniac.
Oh, what fun.
Because he's the rogue. And so they...
wait, sorry. Like, every rogue ever, when you rock up to a store game and the rogue is like, I steal things, ha ha ha. Oh, we're talking to a really important person. Hey, GM, can I steal this cup? Can I steal the necklace off the king's throat?
So...
I can't, but I'm a rogue.
Their concept for Tasselhoff was, because they wanted him to be childlike and innocent, but also the thief, was that he's not actually stealing stuff. He's just absent-mindedly. He goes, oh, what's this? And he just picks up something and then puts it down somewhere else. And
I mean, that sounds exactly like our child.
Or drops it in his bag to look at later, or, you know, he just has no real concept of property.
Yeah, sure.
And this is only one of his characteristics in the book. He's still pretty freaking annoying. But this is the thing that wound up... Instead of being the race of children, innocent and cruel and all the things in between, Kender turned into the race of, I will steal anything from anyone for the lols.
But the thing is...
Dear God, they're annoying.
The thing is, I think a lot of sort of at least since I came on the scene, so, you know, in the 2010s, so many of the players I've met who play rogues just do that anyway, and they have no idea what kenders are in the first place. So, like, this painful stereotype would persist anyway.
Oh, absolutely. The
I don't think
rogue
we
who
can
steals from the party is a stereotype.
We can't blame Dragonlance on that 100%.
No. Anyway, the next comedy race was the gnomes. The gnomes kind of work. They're meant to be a parody of bureaucracy, so the gnomes are all mad inventors. And the scene where the characters go to their mountain and they get to interact with their technology is kind of fun, actually. They've got, like, rather than having stairs, they've got catapults and nets set up inside their mountain. So they catapult you up to the floor that you want, and then a net will open up to catch you, but inevitably that one fails, and then the one on the floor below opens, and the one on the floor below opens, and then if that fails, then the emergency failsafe of a whole lot of sponges gets ejected onto the floor.
This is intense. Hang on, I have a question.
Yes.
As relates to this. Did they come up with, like, steampunk gnomes?
Yes.
So the gnomes in World of Warcraft are a
Dragonlance
direct...
gnomes. Yeah.
Whoa, mind blown.
Yeah. Gnomes before this were, like, forest folk who talked to badgers.
They were literally the guys in your garden. They were the little statues in your garden.
And this is where gnomes became inventors.
Wow.
The Dragonlance gnomes, of course, have this thing that their inventions never work.
Right.
That's a running gag, is that none of their stuff works. But yeah, they've got a lot of stuff with, like, committees and...
super influential. Like, I didn't realise until this talk.
Oh no, super influential. The gnomes, like, they're pretty annoying. And, like, literally every single gnome is exactly the same, and is a mad inventor whose idea is not, can I build a better toaster, but can I build a bigger toaster with bells and whistles and sirens, and then it will wind up accidentally electrocuting all the fish in a 10-mile radius or something.
Oh my god.
But the worst.
The
worst.
I know who you're going to say.
You do. It's the Gully Dwarves.
Why?
The Gully Dwarves are utterly indefensible. With the Kender, I see what they're going for.
Sure.
I think they kind of messed it up.
Yeah.
But I see what they were going for, and I think the concept is fine.
You know what? I don't feel like...
The gnomes, they are kind of funny.
But the thing is,
and they're not really a parody of any person in particular.
Okay, I'm going to let you finish your point, but I've got a counterpoint when you're done. Go on.
Gully Dwarves are an entire race of inbred degenerates.
Yeah.
They are all half-wits and simpletons. They are making fun of... Oh, God, what?
Appellation, like...
mental disorders.
Yeah. What they would call back when I was, like, back in the early 90s and stuff, they'd say simple, and then...
And even that would be, like, a nice euphemism.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are awful. There's a running gag about how they can't count higher than 2. They exist purely to be tormented by everyone. Oh, and the original dwarf in the party, for some reason, his flaw was that he wanted to murder all of them.
Oh, what fun.
We cut that from when we did the
What
thing.
Fun.
They also retconned it out of his backstory because they realised what an absolute kick-the-dog thing it was.
Yeah.
When he... originally he'd been captured by them for the last 5 years and held in jail, and so he just wanted to kill all of them, which is awful. But yeah, the Gully Dwarves just exist to make jokes about how dumb they are, and it's appalling.
I have a question, counter-argument. We'll see where this goes. The way that hill giants were portrayed in Storm King's Thunder, did that originate before or after?
Before.
Because you were saying earlier that giants were pretty big in early D&D.
Yeah.
So, like, hill giants were dumb
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
hill giants always been dumb. And I think with that's more about, like, fairy tale ideas of dumb giants.
I think a lot of,
being
like...
able to outwit a giant.
Yeah, I think a lot of portrayals in Jack of the Beanstalk have that particular giant being really, like, slow and stupid and...
Yeah.
And so having a whole, like, species of giants be that... I can see what they're going for, but, I mean, I found it... this is getting a little bit off topic here, but like in Storm King's Thunder, it was interesting that the story was about like the ordering. It was about the hierarchy of the species as it comes to giants. And so there was a part that sort of just intrinsically made me feel uncomfortable with it, which is why it ended the way it did with me as the princess saying it's all about how you can
individual
advance,
self-worth rather
which
than
well that could
racial
go a bit of a like a
self-worth.
libertarian direction,
yeah, but it's better than
like,
the race essentialism
yeah. I like looking back, but then again, it's appropriate for Janora because Janora was a spoilt little rich kid in both of her lives. Maybe someone from a more working class background would have said something more about like everyone is of worth.
Now, Gully Dwarves have one redeeming feature.
Seriously, what is it?
Exactly one. It's not even about the Gully Dwarves.
Oh god.
So in the very first playtest adventure, the wizard of the party cast Charm Person on a Gully Dwarf. And this turns into a major plot point in the books.
Okay.
So what it is they just went, we want to get some information from them. Oh, let's cast Charm Person so that we've got one who'll be our friend.
Okay.
Now, we'll talk about this more when we get into talking about the books, but that wizard went on to be a major character, and he went on to become a major villain, anti-villain. But all the way through, all the horrific, despicable things that he winds up doing, he's a really nasty character, and he's got, good backstory to back up why he is and so on. But he was always really kindly towards the Gully Dwarves. He never made fun of his Gully Dwarf friend. He is always really respectful towards her, and it was like his morality thing is he knew what it was like to be the little person who got picked on.
I don't like your point, because it's very much like, oh, the Gully Dwarf, the one redeeming feature of the Gully Dwarves are that they are used to make evil guys seem sympathetic.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit lame, isn't it?
That's terrible.
It's pretty bad. It's nothing intrinsic to Gully Dwarves at all.
No, not at all. It's that they are used to virtue signal.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, I hate it.
That's the only thing that redeems Gully Dwarves. Oh, there's an entire novel starring Gully Dwarves.
Oh.
It's not good.
How?
I don't even remember anymore. I think I blocked it out.
Yeah.
It was a chore to read, that one.
It was the 80s. That is...
it was a very, very different time and age, but even at the time, people did not like Gully Dwarves.
No. I mean, I can sort of see some of the relation, like, Tolkien's goblins and his, like, sort of lower types of orcs were also, like, dumb and stupid.
They're not, though.
They're
not
as dumb as
clever,
this.
They're mechanical. He implies that the goblins in The Hobbit invented guns.
Okay, fine. His trolls were dumb and stupid.
His trolls were dumb and stupid, but they were also very British and
True.
parochial, and they had full conversations with each other.
Yeah.
And yes, they got tricked by a ventriloquist wizard.
I just want to say right now,
they're not Gully Dwarves.
I'm sorry for any ableist language I'm using as pertains to that. Like, I probably shouldn't be saying dumb, because that is, a word about not being able to speak rather than... And also, I've heard that stupid is a slur. Now, I think people are saying that it's being used for people with, like, learning difficulties, which, sure, I'll buy that.
It is what the Gully Dwarves are presented as, which is so... There's a running joke about how Gully Dwarves can't count higher than 2.
Yeah.
Which is just painful. Now, one thing at least that Dragonlance did do well, actually, ignoring the Gully Dwarves, is up until this point you had the dwarves, and they're all like this.
Oh,
and
sure.
Dragonlance has the Hylar dwarves, the Nadar dwarves, the Thewar dwarves, the Dewar dwarves, the Dewar... I forget all of the different names. Right. But there's all these different subcultures within them. For the elves, there's the Sylvanesti, the Quellanesti, the Kaganesti, the Darganesti, the Daimonesti.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of different subcultures, and they've got intricate histories and backstories. And,
I like it.
And that's kind of cool. So that's progress. Now, admittedly, every Hylar dwarf is identical.
Oh, sure.
Every Nadar dwarf is identical. So there were limits to what they did with their... But it was still, baby steps.
For the time, it was way more progressive than a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I just mean progressive in terms of moving forward, not progressive as in like a political
Oh, no.
No.
And there were strong female characters, but there were strong female characters who would throw all their common sense out the window as soon as their boyfriend showed up.
Yeah.
That is, in fact, the major, plot point that leads towards the resolution of the entire series, is one of the girls who's been fairly useless up until this point becomes the general of the armies of good, leads them to complete victory as a sudden tactical genius and badass, and then throws the whole thing away because she hears her boyfriend's in trouble. So, she's awesome up until that point, and then not so much.
Yeah, again, 80s and 90s, so many, strong female characters, heavy quotation marks around that, and then, it's more
Gold
that they
Moon,
are...
who was your character,
Yeah.
shows up as the most important character at the beginning and then gets sidelined so fast.
Yeah, that a lot of female characters would get sidelined, or you could have a token female character, very much like how you had token Gold Moon was
the
one
token
out
female
of 8.
character. Later on, they get another 2 girls added to the party.
Right.
Tika, who's the barmaid, who really is her thing is love interest, but she does get to beat up on some bad guys and be a sort of warrior woman. So that's something.
Sure.
When she's not getting ogled or being a love interest.
Yeah.
And Lorana, the impossibly beautiful elf princess, who runs away from home to be with her boyfriend and then suddenly becomes the main good guy character. And then, like I said, becomes the general of the good guy armies and saves the world, and then throws away all her character development so she can run after her boyfriend again.
See, I actually really like Gold Moon, and I wish that they hadn't sidelined her the way they did, because Gold Moon is, yes, she's a female character. She's sort of got this, young and inexperienced thing going on, which, I feel like she's almost, in some ways, like Luke Skywalker, in that she sees the place that she's living in fall into a new danger, and so she has to go off with these people and do these things. And also, she's not just a woman, she's also a...
political leader, she's a spiritual leader.
And I was going to say, she's an indigenous person.
Yes.
And so she actually has a way more interesting identity than just the woman. Whereas I feel like Tika sort of is a little bit
she's kind of just the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me that she comes later and their actual first female character is super interesting and has a lot more fleshed out different aspects to her.
Yeah. That said, so I think it's time to talk about the novels.